Hello there, welcome back to another review. Today we're going to be looking at Street Fighter, The Legend of Chun-Li. Now, if you thought the 1994 Van Damme Street Fighter vehicle was bad, then you have not seen nothing yet. You have not seen nothing yet. So, there's been about 15 years time between Street Fighter the 94 version and this version. So in that time you think, right, they've had time to evaluate, they've had time to plan, they've had time to brainstorm what works, what doesn't work, what would make a good Street Fighter movie, what do the fans want to see, what would, look good on screen. So you think, right, they've had all that time, so we're going to get a good Street Fighter movie, right? Not at all. Not at all. Not a chance in hell. So this film is, as I say, you thought the original was bad, you check this film out. So the film obviously basically follows Chun-Li, whose dad is kidnapped and is eventually killed by Bison. She is a classical pianist who one day receives this mysterious scroll and goes in search of Jen or Gen, played by Robin Shou or Show. I've always said Robin Shou, obviously from Mortal Kombat fame. So she receives this scroll, she goes in search of Gen, and the whole idea, sort of the basic plot premise for this film, she wants to track down, like I say, Bison, who sort of kidnaps her dad and does eventually end up killing her dad. He's sort of buying up these properties. He's sort of bulldozing properties in Bangkok so he can sort of build more expensive houses on top of it so that only rich people can buy them and he can get more profit. I mean, that is sort of the basic premise for what Bison's doing in this film. So yeah, already we're off to a flying start. With the original, at least there was that cheesy sort of fun with it. At least there was that sort of, okay, it's not the best film in the world, not by a country mile, but at least there is that sort of element of light-heartedness to the original Street Fighter. This film is not like that at all. So, first of all, the characters look nothing like they're supposed to look. Like, the characters in this film look nothing at all like their Street Fighter counterparts. Bison definitely does not look like Bison at all. This is not Bison. Full stop. I mean, if you're going to cast just anyone and put them in a Street Fighter characters, a name only, what is the point of even basing it on Street Fighter in the first place? Like, why, if you're going to just bung them in there, oh, that's Charlie Nash, that's Guile, Guile's not in this one, but you know what I mean, that's Bison, that's Vega, just bung them in there. What is the point of even basing it on Street Fighter if they don't even vaguely sort of resemble the characters they're meant to be based on? Like, what? I don't understand that. I still do not understand that mentality. Like, I understand, like I've said in so many reviews, a bit of artistic license, a bit of taking things in a different direction, but when it's like there's not even the base level of similarities going on there, it's like, why even have Street Fighter in the title to this movie? This is why, if you look at the cover, they put Michael Clark Duncan and Vega on the front, because out of everybody in this film, these are the two that look most like their Street Fighter counterparts, Balrog and Vega. Like, they're the two that look most like. I mean, these two here, I don't know if you can see that, but there's two guys doing like flying kicks. Who that is, I have no idea. I have no idea who that is at all, but so yeah, Vega and Balrog made the front because they look most sort of similar to how they are sort of in the video game. But right, so yeah, get that little rant out of the way because it's just, oh god. I mean, the fights in this are god awful. They really are proper the pits. I mean, it's really lazy. I mean, the first time you see the spinning bird kick, it just looks awful. It really does look so bad, the way they shoot it and the way it just, suddenly she's doing the spinning bird kick and the way and there's one bit, Vega is like painted out to be this really brutal, hard assassin, right? He goes after her, there's this scene where he's chasing after Chun-Li, she's doing all these sort of unnecessary pointless flips along these rooftops, like really going out of her way to do like these sort of really exuberant sort of flips and sort of things in the air. No need to do them. No, she's just jumping sort of from rooftop to roof. There's no need for her to do a flip at all. There's no need for her to do like a backwards somersault and land, but she does it because that's what, let's say, 12-year-old kids want to see, right? So he's chasing her, and like I say, it's meant to be, bearing in mind they paint him up, like at one point Bison says, call Vega, right? He's the guy to call if we need to get somebody, take somebody out. So he's got a reputation. That means he's, successful in his missions. He doesn't let people down. He's not let Bison down before. So he calls Vega. Vega's chasing Chun-Li, and he goes after her. And when his mask gets removed after like 12 seconds of this fight, and he's beaten in like 20 seconds, and that's it. Like, what is the point? What is the point of even having that whole Vega thing? Like, there's no backstory at all. There is no backstory in the slightest to these sort of characters. They do give Bison this sort of really weird backstory that I'm not going to go into right now. I say Chun-Li was sort of this pianist. She's sort of trained in like sort of wushu, and there's so much about this film that everything is just lazy about this film. It's just really, really lazy. And to say it's one of the worst films ever made, or like one of the worst films I've seen, it's definitely bottom of the barrel. It definitely is bad. I mean, like I say, where the original was sort of, you can sort of laugh at it. Like the original, like there was that element of, okay, this is cheesy. We know it's meant to be hokey fun kind of thing. That's not in this film at all. This film, you can tell they're actually really trying to make a serious straight like Street Fighter movie. I mean, the whole film is like 90 minutes long, and it feels about 8 hours. I don't judge a film until I've seen it. I mean, the first 10 minutes of this film, I was like, okay, right, get with it. And after about the 20-minute mark, you're like, yeah, not working. Not working. Because I'd say the film just, although it's short, it's just about an hour and a half, but it just drags so much. It really does just drag, and it doesn't hold your attention at all in the slightest. Like I said, at least the 94 film tried for the most part to get the characters the right look. The film is just so lazy in terms of fight scenes, script, dialogue, and the biggest problem that is it takes itself so damn seriously. That is the biggest. It's a video game film. It's based on Street Fighter. You don't have to make everything like a big drama, like it's really serious. I mean, the original, like I say what you will about it, but at least it knew it wasn't to be taken seriously. Much like the Mortal Kombat movie, just have fun with it. It's based on a video game. Like, there's this whole scene where Chun-Li's sort of crying, saying goodbye to her servants and her staff because she's got to go slumming it around Bangkok. It's like, get on with it. We don't need to see all this. And it's like, and the whole premise, like, she like, because of this scroll, she's got to travel, and she has to like sort of lose herself in the streets to be sort of one with the people, whatever that means. I mean, basically just go slumming it around Bangkok, and all the staff, they're all sort of crying, and she's like, thank you for looking after me. It's like, this is so boring. This is so boring. But as I say, I could rip this film in half. I tell you, I could tear this film a new one. It just aggravates me so much that this is what people, the powers that be, sort of in charge with money and like who are in the position to make movies, this is what they think they want to see. I know the film's quite old now, but even still, watching it recently, it's like they thought this was a good idea. Like, they actually thought, yeah, got a hit there, that's a Street Fighter movie if ever I saw one. I mean, there's this scene in a club as well that goes on forever. You got this woman who works for Bison. She's sort of standing at the bar, sort of ogling these women on the dance floor in these tight dresses, and it just goes on and on. Like, for about 2 minutes, you're just looking at her, looking at the women on the dance floor, looking at her, looking at the women on the dance floor. Then she ends up dancing with Chun-Li. So you got them two are having a dance, all well and good, but I'm watching a Street Fighter movie. What am I watching here? You know, like, what is this? What point is this? Okay, we've totally lost what we're doing here. We've lost the plot completely, like literally lost the plot. And it ends with like, and at the end, like Robin Shue, he going, I heard of this guy, Ryu or something, and there's like a Street Fighter tournament coming up. So they're sort of trying to do like what they did. I know they did it later, but in the Mortal Kombat 2021 movie, at the end, with that Johnny Cage is sort of teased at the end, because you're thinking, why wasn't he in the movie? But at the end, it's just so hokey. It's just so, I've heard of this guy, Ryu something, we got to go and check him out. Obviously trying to think, I mean, did they honestly think they was going to get enough money and a budget for a sequel? Did they honestly think, yeah, it's going to work out? And it's just, there's just, I say, the dialogue in this is so, it's like at the end, Robin Shou says something to her, and it's just awful. It's like she says, "Oh no, I'm home now," or something like that. I can't remember exactly what she says, but it's just, oh. But anyway, this film, it's not even fun unintentionally. That's the trouble with this film. It's just, it takes itself too damn seriously. It strays too far from the source material. No characters look like they're meant to. The fight scenes are absolutely rubbish. There's nothing in this film that sets. There's no sort of suspense. There's no sort of sense of fun, sense of let's have a good time. This is a street fight. It is just, again, take the characters' names out of it from a Street Fighter franchise, and you've just got a generic film, a really, really generic film. Obviously, no review of this would be complete without mentioning Chris Klein's performance of Charlie Nash. Well, nothing against Chris Klein here. Again, not when I like, if I bash somebody, it's not me bashing them personally. It's bashing them like sort of the character they're playing, or the casting choice, or the way they're acting, that kind of thing. Nothing against Chris Klein. Loved him in American Pie when I was growing up, that kind of thing. I mean, I've seen some bad acting before, but wow, this, honestly, every time he utters anything in this film, there's this really big, massive cringe factor. Like, my cringe factor just goes through the roof, and for some reason he always has like this weird psychotic stare and look on his face. Like, it's really unsettling. Like, he just has this really sort of psychotic look, and when he says things, he keeps on going, "I love this job," and things like this, and he just does every scene. He looks like he's posing, and he's doing all this. I mean, again, it's not Charlie Nash. Like, what am I watching here? But yeah, Chris Klein's performance is just, within the first sort of 30 seconds of him being on screen, you're like, right, so I've got to put up with this the whole movie, this guy playing Charlie Nash. And it's just, oh my God, it's so bad. It's so bad. It does say on Wikipedia it's regarded to be one of the worst films of all time, and yeah, it is. But it's one of the films don't ever watch it. Just do yourself a favour. Do not ever go and watch this film. As I say, there's just not even the original '94 version. It did have an undercurrent of Street Fighter. There was a Street Fighter vibe to it, even though it wasn't the best film in the world. There was no fight sequences. It did still, in a sense, it was very of the time. It was very 90s. It was very sort of let's make a film about a video game, and it did have a bit of Street Fighter blood going through that original film. Not much, but there was some of it. This is as far removed from Street Fighter as you can get, and like I say, even if you take the Street Fighter element out of it, it's not a good film. So do yourself a big, massive favour, and trust me, give this one a miss.